I get to share with you guys something I'm super passionate about. And I know it's the end of the night. I know some of you guys drove really early in the morning. And I hope to maybe pull at your heartstrings or grab your attention for a few minutes. And my message tonight is really for our district managers. And I know some of you are new district managers. You're going to be opening your offices for the first time, which is exciting. I think about the current district managers, and my message is especially for you tonight, and to remind you what our opportunity is, what it has always been, what it is this summer, what it will continue to be. And for our branches and for our assistants in the room, I want to say congratulations to making it to this point. You're the best of the best of your training classes in the last year or couple years, and you're going to be able to witness and participate in something really special this summer. And hopefully you could kind of get an inside look about what our premier opportunity, the district manager opportunity, is really all about. So let me tell you what DM is not. Sarah mentioned that I'm brutally honest. I guess that's a pretty good way to describe it. And my team just sat there for most of it, but then when I said she is brutally honest, that was the one thing that all their heads started shaking, and I said, oh man, I don't know about that. So let me be brutally honest. I want to tell you what DM is not. I want to tell you the bad before I tell you any of the potential good of being a district manager. DM is not easy. The programs are simple, but it's not easy. It's really challenging in many cases. DM is not for the ordinary. It's definitely not common. It's not always 9 to 5. It's not always in a job description. I get some of the weirdest text messages as a DM developing candidates and as a DDM. Like, I just got my nose pierced. Are you going to disown me? I think you're going to be mad about my new haircut. These are text messages from Taylor College. My response is always send me a picture, right? I often find myself saying as a DM, where was this in the job description, right? I didn't see this in the pay packet. DM is not without responsibility. It's for sure not without challenges. So if you're looking for something that fits that mold, you should look somewhere else when considering a career position. DM is probably not going to be a good fit. Current district managers. I've heard some recent complaints. And I think we all do this, right? I find myself doing this every now and then, where I'm like, oh gosh, I have to drive like really far to this conference, right? And I start feeling bad for myself for a little while. Or maybe I feel bad for myself when things are challenging. And I have to put myself in check, right? And eventually manage myself. But I think about some of the managers throughout the company. I've heard commentary of a few of these things. Oh, yeah. DM's great, but, you have to work long hours sometimes. And you have to work occasional weekends. It's very annoying. You know what? DM's great, but, I don't always like the people I have to work with. Oh, you know what? I really love DM, but, it's different than it used to be. It's different than it was, 20 years ago. It's different than it was 10 years ago. I've heard complaints from people like, oh, yeah, DM's great, but, you have to pay, bills. And work in a budget. Oh, really, DM's really great, but, it's just frustrating sometimes. Oh, DM's really great, but, you know what, I want the company to do more. I want them to fix a couple things. Welcome to adulthood, right? I don't know if you guys realize this, but there's a list of complaints or things that I hear my friends talk about all the time. Regardless of what job or career they take, no matter how passionate they are about their career. Whether they work as engineers, or my friends that work on Capitol Hill, or my friends that work in investment banking, or run their own business, or teachers, or lawyers, or doctors. Guess what? A lot of them work long hours, a lot of them work occasional weekends, They don't love every person they work with. It's different than it used to be. They have to pay bills or work within a budget. It's not always easy, often frustrating, and they constantly want their company to do more, right? I think about those things aren't unique. They're not unique to working a position or working with a company, especially not unique to running your own business. I think it's easy to sometimes lose perspective, to lose perspective of what it is that we really have, to lose perspective or lose appreciation for what our opportunity is all about. I read about a book last year called How the Mighty Fall. One of the concepts they talk about is this idea of hubris, meaning extreme pride or self-confidence. Often indicates a loss of contact with the reality, an overestimation of one's own competence, accomplishments, capabilities, especially when in a position of power. I think about sometimes that's easy to do. And I hope to remind you guys of a few of the amazing things about our opportunity. One thing I think about is the importance. The importance of what we do as district managers. I think about the importance of what we do for our communities, for the future of our country, for the future of our world. I think about as you hear some of those recruiting numbers. You hear some of those recruiting numbers of 500 people in a year, 800 people in a year. When I was little, I wanted to be a school teacher. In fact, for like 5 years in a row, for every birthday, holiday, I asked for an overhead projector, right? Like, what 8-year-old asked for an overhead projector for like 5 years in a row? I wanted one so badly. I wanted to be a teacher. I made all the kids come into my schoolroom that was in my basement, right? So I could teach them. And I would literally break all their papers, not being nice, right? Of all the things that they made mistakes on. I wanted to be a teacher. I think about teachers. They have an amazing impact on the world and young people. But many times their class consists of 15, 20, 30, 40 students in a year. I think of even a classroom or professors that don't get to connect with lecture halls with people. I think about every single person that comes to our office we get to work with on a 3-day basis for training. We get to talk to on a regular basis things like PDI and weekly team meetings and have constant interaction with and develop. And some of those people that come into our organization we work more closely with than others. But I think about the impact we have. I truly believe that even if someone comes in for an interview, they are better served for having walked in our office than to have not walked in at all. I think about even if someone goes through the training and they don't end up continuing the opportunity, that they're better served for going through our training. I think about the importance of what we do impacting youth. An influential age. 17 to 24-year-olds especially, a lot of times get lost in the mix, or trying to find their direction or place in life. And they're in big colleges, or along with the shuffle, or going with everyone else is doing. I think about what we really provide as district managers. I think about giving youth the best skill set possible. Nowhere else in the entire United States can someone get the experience that they get here. Communication skills, confidence, work ethic, real-world lessons. I think about a chance to be role models. I think about a chance of everything you're doing and saying someone's watching. I always know I've done a good job in management training when people start dressing like me. Right? At some point during their leadership academy, right? Like all of a sudden they start showing up with suits, right? And then they get haircuts, right? And then they start making this progress like, wow, like they see what we're doing, right? Or they see what you're doing as a district manager and start modeling your behavior. How amazing is that? And what a strong, huge influence you guys have. It's amazing. This year in the United States will impact anywhere from 30, 40, or 50,000 new recruits in our business. When we do that year in and year out, think about what sort of change that can make. These are the future leaders of other companies. These are our future doctors, future parents that will be developing other little children that come into the Cutco world at some point, hopefully. But you think about our kids are going to be around their kids. And we have an opportunity to impact those people. I think about the fulfillment of the district manager role. We're able to witness progress in individuals. I think about getting to see Chipper Jones, going from being completely protected and sheltered, homeschooled for most of his life, coming in, having a 10K fast start, and now as a district manager running his own business a few years later. Recently married. I think about that progression. I got to see every step of the way and how fulfilling that is. How cool it is to see those things and the life he's building for himself. I think about Lauren Kim. Lauren Kim ran a terrible first branch. Terrible. Our DVM said she's not going to go branch, and I advocated for her, right? I said she has to. I sent her like states away, all the way down to Florida so she could run an office, and she tanked. I love you, Lauren, but she said, please don't tell me that. But she tanked. She was terrible, sucking wet, bullshit. And she came back. She came back, and she came back, and she sold. And you know what? She won the trip, and then she retrained. And then she went out again and kicked tail as a branch the next summer. And you know what? She loved branching so much she wanted to make a career of it. So she went branch a third time. She was trying to break a record in the Cutco book. And now seeing her here with her people. By the way, she sold $300 her first weekend doing like 13 demos. And now I see her developing dancing and getting their opening packs, and what a cool process to see someone go through those challenges and progress. We have an opportunity to do that and how fulfilling that is. John Godwin. When I was a DM with John, I asked my division manager if I could call him and talk to him about how awkward he was. I said, I really think I could help him to develop more people if he wasn't so strange. I don't know if John remembers this call. But I said, I want to talk to you about being weird. I think you're really great, but you really come off a very strange way that I think people don't get you. And so I can help you find your style. I don't know that it helped him find his style, but I made him quit. I love the business. We still had a great relationship. John worked in corporate America for the last couple of years and always loved Cutco. His wife had never met us, but he always spoke so fondly of Cutco and Vector that she said, you got to go back. You got to go back. And he's like, oh, I'd have to work hard to like rebuild an office. She's like, you got to go back. I'll support you. I'll help. I'll be 100% on board. And to see John come back and do what he's doing now, to watch him give a talk today about kick and tail and him, defying my PR suggestions and going bigger and thinking bigger for his organization and putting out branches, and it makes my heart sing. Even at the beginning of the conference today, as I was watching my team dance and do what they do and love life and energy and team cheers, I text my family. I'm like, I'm at the conference right now, but I'm such a proud mama. I'm such a proud mama there. I think about knowing when I go to sleep at night that every single day as district managers, what we give is the best. That whether someone works here forever or it's for a little bit, that I gave them the best. We gave them the best products. I gave them the best training we could give. Gave the best opportunity. And I think about how amazing that feels. I don't have to go to sleep at night wondering if the pharmaceutical rep job I had selling questionable medications to someone is going to have a commercial a few years later. If you've taken blah, 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 medication, you may be entitled to, if you lost your liver, heart, left arm, please call us. I think about being in charge of someone's finances, going to sleep at night, wondering if you're making good decisions for them, right? Is their future retirement in your hand that you have very little control over, made a bad decision. Every night when I go to sleep at night, I know it's the best. I think about the pride in your team. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than watching your guys succeed. You can't describe it, right? I'm not a parent yet. My team's the closest I have, so unfortunately they get like a lot of overbearing parent, techniques that I use on them. But I can only imagine from watching them grow that it has to be amazing to be a mom or dad, the way that you hear them talk about it. District manager is the closest that you can get without actually like bearing children on your own. I think about the leadership and ownership. Our owners are good people. They genuinely care. They genuinely care that our customers have an exceptional experience. They genuinely care that our factory workers have an exceptional experience. They genuinely care that our DM team has an exceptional experience. They constantly ask for feedback from the field, and not only do they ask for feedback on a regular basis, they implement the feedback that we give them, and relatively quickly. They support the field 100%. They're not just focused on profits at all costs. And you guys probably know businesses just like I do, but that's what it's all about. I think about the opportunity to travel. I realize that I'm a travel snob, right? Even with our back to crew, I sit around the DMs, I'm like, did you like this hotel better, or did you like the one in Prague? I don't know, I kind of like the one in Argentina. What do you think about the hotel in, did you look it up on the internet? Yeah, it's like, if I overheard that conversation of like 17 to like 30-year-olds, I would want to vomit. It's ridiculous, right? It's so easy to take for granted that like, oh yeah, we spent a week in Panama, came back, and then, we worked kind of for a couple weeks, and then, we went to Puerto Rico, of course, and yeah. We do that. It wasn't just like a one-time company thing. It's like, oh yeah, it's a regular part of the job. Like every year, you go on a week-long trip that people dream of. By the way, they put their like life savings into going into one of these trips. And we just, show up. There's like a little sign waiting for us. We look very important. And we don't just go on trips, right? I don't know if you guys notice this. Like when you go on your own, like you actually have to like book the transportation and like fun activities and do all this research. No. Like usually it's like the day before the trip, I'm like, oh, I forget where we were even going. Like I should probably print this out, right? Like, do you guys do this? Like, it's so spoiled. Like, I want to print out the information because someone did all of this for me, right? I just show up in the morning. I think about traveling to places that people dream of. Rome, Prague, Budapest, Hawaii a couple times, throw in there. Of course, we've been to all the Caribbean places. I mean, it's really ridiculous. And I think about it as a district manager, every time we get to go, it's a paid vacation. My office doesn't stop running when I leave. My office doesn't stop when I'm here. Sample kits don't close down. Rolo doesn't shut off when I'm gone. I think about interviews still happening, training seminars still happening, all the things still happening, whether I'm there or not. How exciting is that? 100% paid vacations. Oh, by the way, I also don't have to like put in for time off and get approval, which is pretty cool. I think about job security. I think about stability. As district managers, we get to work for a 64-year-plus old company. We have a stable product line. Here's one of the cool things as district managers that we easily take for granted. Cutco is the best product of its kind 100% of the time. Woo! Day out as a district manager. We just have that. We have it. They ship the orders when they say they're going to. They do all the things they said they were going to do. They plan the inventory and for big rushes, right? And how to do all those things. I think about the stability. I live outside of DC, so a lot of my friends work in the government. I don't know if you heard about the furlough that happened earlier this year, but all of my friends suddenly became not paid for a question mark amount of time. And suddenly their stable government jobs weren't really all that stable. I think about, since I've worked here for the past 12 years, never once have I not been paid. Never once did my check or direct deposit not clear. Regardless of how the economy was doing in the past 64-year history, our business has essentially been unaffected. That didn't really matter to me when I was a sales rep, but I think about making a career decision and being a district manager. It's certainly something I appreciate now, but certainly this time of our financial future. I think about support. We have a support system like our region staff. By the way, are they not completely incredible? Expecting them to respond, and they're like all about it, right? They always respond, they always care about giving the best. I think about Earl Kelly, our division manager, how much he cares. I hear him talk, and he just pours love and energy into everything that he does. We have a support system of people that really care. I think about your DVMs. I used to think that the division managers just like chilled at home and ate bonbons all day. I'm like, can't wait till I get there. It's like, and you're like, you're living the big life. Like, it's actually hard. We actually really work hard to support you. Like, and when you have a bad day, it's like, we don't just like, oh yeah, that sucks for that. It's like one of your children, like, has a tough time, right? So I think about it all the time. I think about when I'm driving, right? I think about when I'm blow drying my hair. I think about it. I think about all the time how I can help them, right? And support them as a division manager. I think about how I can make their life easier and how I can make it better. And I think about all the support we get from people like our division managers. I think about the company support. I had a conversation with Lauren Kim during her cap because she still doesn't know how we get paid exactly. She's like, there's just so many ways, it just always shows up on my check. And I was like, oh, I've said this to you like 12 times. So I sat down again, right? And it really does though, it comes from all these crazy places. I'm like, oh, you get $6 grand in mailer support just because, and then you get this $1,500 bucks, which is categorized as, but it's really just like free catalog support again. And then, for your mailers, and then you get this PR support contest, and then your recruiting kicker contest, and then, oh, the company just decided to give every DM in the company $3 grand just before the summer just because. The company literally on a dime made almost $1 million decision to give out $1 million to the field just to like help support the summer. Can you imagine that happening anywhere else? It's why we're not publicly traded. I think about even silly things. I think about things like having a corporate attorney, right? Having a corporate attorney that if anything happens, we have someone right there to support us and answer questions. I think about like sample kits that just show up at your office, right? Or someone that does whatever they do when you send them back. I don't know. But all those things are in place so we don't have to think about it. I think about the receptionist paperwork. Right? All I know is I send them in and magically all my tax stuff is organized for the year, right? It's amazing. It's the fairies of Olean that support it. I think about the things like the support of our program development that other DMs work on, or even simple things like idea sharing, that we just pour out all our ideas and our best programs. People share it on Facebook and conference calls and everything that they can, cross-training, right? There's no secrets. Hey, we're going to share everything we do. It's an open book, right? Whatever you want to learn, we'll give it to you. There's constant support for us to be great. I think about the way we're treated. I recently read the book David and Goliath. Just get into like the last chapter. But anyway, there was a concept in it about being a small fish in a big pond or being a big fish in a small pond. And finding what's a good fit. One of the cool things about the district manager opportunity is we get to be a big fish in a fairly small pond, which allows us to live like rock stars. We're valued and appreciated on a regular basis. Not the day we retire, do we have some sort of lame retirement party. We are celebrated on a weekly basis. We're celebrated at every conference, right? You get your name in shining lights and run up to the front. Why? I don't know, because you're a manager apparently this summer, right? We just did that like a little while ago. I think about every time I give a message, right? I just want to like pound on my chest. I feel like $1 million, right? I'm just a girl from Carroll County, like a pretty small town, pretty average family, right? I have no business doing things like that. I think about things like countless massages, shopping sprees. I want something called Day of Decadence, right? As a district manager, we sell $1.5 million for the year. You get to go with Aldi for a champagne lunch, and then he forces you to spend $2,500 on yourself, like that day, at the mall. We went to Aventura Mall in Miami. It's like, here's a $2,500 gift card. I didn't even know what to do with it, and I like pretty nice things. I never spent $2,500 on myself before. And almost everything nice I have, I won. I was at hour 3 and I'd only spent $400. I was like, I can't come back to him with like 3 things, and, when he tells me I got $2,100 left on here. So I just spent as much as I could. And I went around buying stuff and I gave him my gift card and I'm like, I won this. I felt so cool. I mean, we had a driver that picked us up to go to a massage. Like, I have no business doing things like that. I think about just how awesome it is as a district manager. I think about the dinners, right? I mean, my family was a middle-income family, but I've drank bottles of wine that are worth more than probably my parents made in like a week or two, right? I mean, it's crazy. I drank bottles of wine that when I looked them up on the internet, have you guys ever done that? You're like, how much was that? And you're like, oh my gosh! I mean, how cool. I think about just hotels we've stayed in, experience. When I bought my Rolex, it was my first full year. It was worth about 3 or 4 times my car, right? Like, so I would drive around with the Rolex in a car worth like $500 bucks. $6,500 Rolex. I was like, yeah, I just won this, so I don't really know. Like, I wish I could kind of trade it in and get a new car. I would never have a Rolex watch, right? I would never buy that for myself unless I want it. It's such a cool feeling to feel like that. I bring my dad here in banquet every year just so he can appreciate me as a child, right? I'm like, they're going to tell you how great I am, right? Just listen. I think about the autonomy. We're not micromanaged as district managers. My division might be like that, but I think about we're not micromanaged. There's not someone breathing down your back every day, telling you exactly what you have to do, exactly how to do it. In fact, we're encouraged to put our own spin on it. We're encouraged to develop our own style. You're able to make your own schedule. There's 100% autonomy in how to do it. Chipper Jones asked me the question in our CAP yesterday. He said, so like, what do you think like the schedule could be like as a DM? I said, what do you think? I said, I made up whatever positions I wanted, right? You can design your opportunity however you want. You get to make your organization however you want it to look. You want to call yourself a CEO? Cool, right? I had an advertising department, right? I mean, I just made it up. What made sense to me? And then I developed people to fill that role. And guess what? That next summer we deployed 17 managers, right? After working in an organization that looks like that. I think about your vision. You get to do what it is that you want to do. You get to build for you, not work for someone else. It's perfect for building a family or kids, where you don't have to miss anything if you don't want to, or very few things. We work hard during certain times, but the ability to make things that are important to you a priority. I think about growth. We're an environment that's constantly changing. It's always evolving. We're encouraged. We're actually encouraged to read books, audios, videos. Growth is recognized and encouraged, and our company spends hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in things like SLC conferences to support our DMs, sending people around the country to guest speakers to make sure that we have the absolute best growth tools at our fingertips. I think about ethics and integrity. No one is perfect, right? None of us in this room are exactly perfect. No company is perfect 100% of the time. But our organization is truly built on doing right by people at all costs. And when we make a mistake, we're willing to apologize and finding a way to fix it. I don't know about you, but that means something to me. That's what I'm all about, and if I want to work with a company, that's the company I want to work with. I think about family. You guys see these stupid stickers? Some of you guys might have, I'm sorry. I'm always like, man, if someone would have abducted all your children, they know all their names and what they look like. I think about many of us celebrating life events, and some of the first people that we picked to call or invite are our Vector family. Birthdays, weddings, milestones, it's a special bond you can't take for granted. I think about tolerance. You know, some of us in the room, we're very intelligent human beings. Some of you guys have really high IQs. Some of you guys have really high EQs. Some of you went to amazing schools, or going to some of the most prestigious schools around the country. Some of you have high degrees, maybe even all the way through PhDs, etc. There are others in the room with no college, maybe little schooling, not the best grades. But you know what's cool? Is it doesn't matter. It doesn't limit any of our opportunities. There's not a cap on our income because what we decided to do. There's not a cap on our income of our intelligence level or our ability to go farther or a certain degree level. And some of us, in some cases, whether it's as sales reps, assistant managers, branch managers, DMs, we've underperformed at certain parts. There are some weeks where we didn't even come close to giving our best. In some cases, maybe we didn't even try. There are some times in the business where we've been checked out. In some cases for a week, in some cases for a month, in some cases for an entire campaign or more. And you know what's crazy? The company still loves us. And they haven't changed their opportunity or limited it, even though we haven't always treated it the best. In the words of Yeezy, having money isn't everything. Not having it is. We have, as district managers, an opportunity to be millionaires. If you're doing a really killer job as a district manager, maybe it means in 8 years or 10 years. Maybe you bring the timeline forward if you're doing a great job. For some of you as district managers, maybe it's 15 or 20 years. We have an opportunity for people to save and live a great lifestyle at the same time and have $1 million+ net worth. We have people who are district managers with $1 million net worth. We have people in the company that are multi-million dollars in net worth. I think about Kyle Freeman, district manager. I believe hasn't shipped $1 million yet, and as a district manager being consistent, has a net worth of over $500,000 as a district manager. How exciting is that, building a new family with a nice little nest egg? I think about limitless income. I think about some of us in this room, we have no business making 6 figures a year. We don't, right? People think that right there in college, they're like, oh yeah, I won't take anything less than 6 figures, and then you see them like working at Chuck E. Cheese, serving tables, right? They're like, oh, my dream job's coming up. Things just fell through that first one, right? Everyone says it, right? But few people do it. In fact, it's about 1% of people. I think about our opportunity. A 6-figure+ opportunity. By the way, the President of the United States makes like $300,000 a year. Like, just to keep it in perspective. You can get Dan's hard, but you know, you're not that hard. I think about very little risk. With company support, all the dollars that we get, financially we have very little risk. We have amazing tax advantages. And I think about limitless income. Never, as a district manager, is John Welpley, never are they going to call you and say, you know, you turned in a few too many order forms. We're not going to be able to pay you on all these this year. And your super bonus was really high. We're going to have to scale that down a little bit. Never once are they ever going to call you and say that. Hey, you developed too many people, all right? You're not going to get all those promotional overrides, you know? No, you get to develop as many people as you want. You can turn in as many order forms you want as a district manager. There's no limit to what that looks like. There's always a challenge. No day is ever the same. I don't ever sit down and work for the day or show up to my office for the day or look at my calendar and say, oh, this is the exact same every day. No! Of course, there's a few things in a job that you repeat, right? Maybe it's running recruiting classes at first, and maybe that changes into management training later, and it's always evolving and changing. No day is ever the same. No day has the same exact challenges, and there's always something to work on. As a district manager, you never master the biz and then just get to chill. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you humble. It's refreshing that there's always new challenges and things to look forward to. There's an opportunity to advance. There's an opportunity to progress. Oh, wow. It's not based on, by the way, things like politics. It's not based on things like how tall you are, or how pretty you are, or who you know. It's not based on any of those things. It's based on your performance and are you a good human being? How cool is that? A lot of my friends who start getting into like competing for jobs that are opening or leadership roles or managerial roles, a lot of times what happens is they'll interview 10 or 15 people within the company for the role, and then they'll just hire someone from the outside. And so you might be the best person in your company for a decade, maybe even 2 decades. In some cases, it doesn't matter. They just pop someone else in, and you don't even know who your competition is. One of the cool things is the ability to progress from within our company here. You have an opportunity, a limitless opportunity of developing your own division. And you get promoted when it's deserved, not for any other reasons. I think about the pride. I think about the pride of being a district manager, the pride of business ownership. I love when people ask me the question, what do you do? Right? I remember when I was a sales rep, I'm like, oh, well, you know, like, I represent a product for a big marketing corporation and scholarship opportunities available and make good money, right? Now when people ask me, like, what do you do? I'm like, I sell knives. Have you heard of Cut Cup? Stuff awesome, right? And they're like, what is this girl doing? Like, driving that car with her Rolex that she doesn't, you know, she didn't buy, her bag that she got in day decadence, right? And this girl is a knife peddler. I think about the pride. I love when someone asks me, what do you do, right? I love when some of my friends meet our division, right? When they meet the division, and they're like, that's what you do? Like, that's who you work with? I'm like, heck yeah. Like, you have the best job in the world. Like, I know. I think about the pride of the American dream. I think about the pride of looking the best all the time, right? Even when you show up to Starbucks, you're like the best dressed person in there every time. Like, I love being able to wear a suit to work. When people look up to you. That pride when someone asks, what do you do? The DM opportunity is better than it's ever been. And what you appreciate, appreciates. DM is the most important job in the company. Sales representatives are great, but they wouldn't be here without recruiters and trainers. The CSP opportunity is great, but the CSP opportunity wouldn't exist. Paying 50% of people wouldn't exist if we didn't have new recruits. And that's because of the district manager opportunity. The DVM opportunity wouldn't exist without district managers. District managers, you guys are the most important people in the entire corporation. DM isn't for the lazy, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the small thinkers or the self-absorbed. It's for the bold, it's for the appreciative, it's for the kind, it's for the caring. It's for the fun, it's for the passionate. No one ever said district manager was going to be easy. If they did, they were lying to you. We said it was going to be special. There's no place like this place, anywhere near this place, so this must be the place. Let's lead in 2014 to create something extremely special with our opportunity, the premier opportunity, district manager.